Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again here on ACELab360. We have a great episode for you this week. We have Kevin Ritchie here from Klip Collective here in Philadelphia, and he brought along a Nokia OZO 360-degree stereo camera. He's going to be talking about the camera, the pipeline, the software that it uses. So it's a really great episode in general. The only thing is we did a little bit something different with the lighting here. It's our second episode ever, and it turned out it just really didn't work out. Here, I'll show you. As you can see, we're a little overexposed throughout the entire conversation. Well, you know, a lot overexposed. The good news is that Kevin had the OZO with him, and so we hooked that up, and we were recording the episode the whole time with the OZO as well, and that footage looks fantastic. So you're going to see the whole episode from a little bit of an off angle, but all the information is there. We did a little compositing so you can see everything that's going on with the actual computer screen, and so here, take a look. I hope you enjoy it. All right, welcome to ACELab360, and this time we have a guest with us. This is Kevin from Klip Collective and Monogram. Before we get into this really nice camera that you brought along, let's talk about Klip Collective and Monogram. What is it that you guys do?
Sure. Yeah, Klip Collective was formed about 10 years ago as a projection mapping company. As they became larger, they realized they needed a partner that would do a lot of the heavy lifting. So Monogram was a sister company, was formed out of Klip as it's a post and production company. So all the workflows needed for projection mapping, working in high resolutions, that's how Monogram was started. You know, as technology's evolved, we've gone beyond projection mapping, getting into VR and interactive as well. Great.
And so the projection mapping side of things, I mean, we're talking about massive installation projections.
Yeah, large scale building installations. Yep.
And so now coupled with Monogram, I mean, you have a full complement of abilities to handle 3D, 360, VR, all those.
Yeah, do all our own 2D animation, 3D animation, programming, work in touch designer as well.
Excellent. And so that ultimately brought you to a level of production where you needed something more than a DSLR-based kind of 360 rig, and so you went ahead and invested in the Nokia OZO here. So this is a very special camera. If you're watching here, you can just look to your left, and the OZO's on one of the stands here. And I mean, it doesn't look like anything that's come before it. I mean, why don't you tell us a little bit about the OZO, what makes it so special?
Sure. I mean, we started an R&D lab about 1.5 years ago, and before the OZO was out, and built several camera systems of our own, and realized that even though they could get the job done on a commercial level, where you really don't have any room to fail, it wasn't quite an option. When you're running systems that have individual cameras that aren't talking to each other, multiple cards, multiple batteries, we were looking for a solution that we'd feel confident in bringing on an actual commercial set. So after going up, we had a shoot in mind, and I went up and trained on the OZO, and was super impressed with it, and decided that this was the camera system that our studio needed to invest in.
So what makes it different than just building a rig yourself?
Yeah, a couple things make it different. One of the biggest things is it's a closed system. So it's 8 cameras that are recording down to one file, and you have one battery as well. So there's a lot less that can go wrong on set there. It's always going to record its file, record off its internal battery, or be powered off AC power. The other big thing is the real-time preview. So you're able, through a workstation and an HMD, whether it's the Oculus DK2, the Vive, or the Rift, you can get a real-time preview to a headset. So as you're setting your shot up, the director, client, whoever can wear the headset and really see the scene as it's intended to be, see place talent, different things, and feel confident in what you've set up, that's what you want to record. As well, once you're done recording, you can have real-time playback to check your takes. So in that way, even though it's a VR camera system, being on set with it is a lot like a typical commercial set. You almost have this VR video village in a way. And also with the headset, you can have on the monitor here for clients, you can go to more of a 360 clickable view like you might see on a website, and see that in real time as well. So while you can be viewing in the headset, you could also be showing it to larger groups here in the clickable view.
Great. And so this is all on set, and I think there was a view here where you could show equirectangular, and there were like these pink
Yeah,
Run us
that's
through
probably
that.
one of the other greatest things here about the OZO is that you can see your seams.
Uh-huh.
So you can go to an equirectangular view and then see the different seam areas between the lenses. And then within those seams, you're able to actually move those, change the width of them, and it's all metadata.
Sure.
So you can, working within your scene, set talent or different pieces of the scene around potential trouble spots, and then make notes or do a screen capture of what you set up there, so that in post you just kind of have a starting point for if you're stitching in the OZO software, you have a starting point of what makes sense. What was looking good on set, because maybe the artist who's doing the stitching wasn't on set potentially, so they kind of know where you had things set, and it's a good starting point.
Yeah, I mean that's the bane of 360 shooting is the seams.
Mm-hmm.
So you know specifically right here where there's not seams.
Yeah.
So you can place action that way.
Yeah, not just the seams, as well as actually having, for making exposure decisions, having a live preview, having things like, clipping both in your highlights and your darks to see,
Oh, that's huge.
what's not going to hold. Because if you're just out there with a GoPro system, you're not only shooting with, the cameras are not talking to each other, but you're also shooting blind.
Mm-hmm.
You can maybe monitor, those individually through an app, but you don't have the big picture, all in VR to see how this is really going to turn out.
Right, and then even if you've gotten that far and somehow you're monitoring, I mean, if you want to change white balance, you have to change all those cameras individually,
exactly.
or you need to change the shutter speed, whereas with OZO, you've got this one control.
Yeah, it's one
and
click,
it
white balances across the board. You have to change shutter speed across the board as well.
So then this allows you to come on set and have a much more a traditional style shoot where you know what you're getting from the camera. You can play back what you've gotten in the last take. You can go back to one, do setups, you know what's going on. And the director then can actually view in a head-mounted display and actually see the direction, whatever she's doing or he's doing.
Yeah.
They're able to actually preview in a 360 view.
Yeah, I mean, other than, a set being a VR set where it does see everything, so, cast and crew have to hide during takes. Other than that, it feels very much like a traditional shoot in that way, which takes a lot of pressure off it.
Sure. And so it does take a little bit of special equipment, right? So if you're going to want to use live playback, for example, you're not able to do that from the memory card into the camera.
Yeah, there's sort of a couple different builds you can have with the OZO. You can really strip it down. You could be to the point where it's just the camera with its internal battery and media, and there's an app for the phone. That doesn't let you see anything, but you can still make some adjustments. So that's sort of bare bones. The next level up is just a laptop in that. So a laptop's going to still let you see your whole remote interface, still make exposure decisions, move seams, all that. You're just not getting real-time playback because you don't have the processing from a tower. So you don't have real-time playback or the HMD monitoring.
So the camera has its built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. So the laptop just connects via
It's a direct
Wi-Fi.
connect, whether it's to the phone or to the laptop or the tower. And you can have multiple devices connected at once. So a lot of times on set, we'll have the workstation, but then I'll also have a laptop that I walk around with, so I don't have to be back at the station. I can be out in the set and kind of see like, all right, maybe I need to move this a little bit and do all that on the laptop. So you can have multiple connections, which is really nice. And you could, if budget allowed, you could have multiple towers and then have multiple HMDs. You just need one computer per headset.
Okay.
So if you had a client that said, I really need 2 or 4, whatever it may be, you can route that signal.
Right, and so that's the other interesting
thing. Because it is a routable
signal. It's an
signal.
SDI, so somehow they're packaging their data in a standard SMPTE SDI HD frame set.
And it's not a video signal over SDI, it's data, uncompressed data over SDI, which is routable through some hardware.
So you can use SDI distribution.
Blackmagic, all the Blackmagic hardware, the HyperDecks, and their switchers are all able to actually route this signal. The one thing we're hoping for, which isn't there yet, is to be able to route the signal wirelessly.
Okay.
Because right now, if you're on set and you want the live preview, you have to be tethered over SDI cable, which isn't the worst because it's a single cable. It's pretty easy to hide depending on what the scene is. But once, like some of the vendors like Teradek or Paralinx figure out how to not compress this data signal, because right now it'll send it but there's something happening where it's compressing it somehow and it's not reading on the other end.
Gotcha.
But if they can figure that out, then we'll be able to just have a wireless pack on here and send that feed to wherever the card is, which that'll be huge, just even further untethered.
Sure. Excellent. All right, well, thanks for sharing this technology and showing it off for us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll definitely have to have you guys back a few times.
Well, thanks a lot.
So thanks again for joining us here on ACELab360. Until next time, have fun.